Let the children use it. Let the children lose it. Let all the children boogie. Starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he'd think we'd blow his mind. Oh, something like that, right? Welcome back at this time, once again, for the golden age of DC Comics. 365 days where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since and has been a constant source of comic book shop style conversations, the kind I wish to recreate with you today, right here, right now. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. Pull up a chair. What goes better with a coffee table book at the coffee table with some coffee table talk than a cup of whatever that you want to shove under your nose? Sláinte. That's some good stuff. Come to the coffee table. Pull up a chair. You are welcome here. We're going to talk about comic books. We're going to use this book for its intended purpose. This book, right here, this hardcover, 2004, Abrams print publication, written and curated by Les Daniels, Chip Kidd, and Geoff Spear. There's a link in the description to the Amazon page where you can get your own copy. We're going to use this this book that you could get for your own coffee table and play along at home, and it would look great as a gift for a geek. Yes, indeed. This very 365 days book we're using for its intended purpose. We're going to open up to today's date, which is December the 4th. We're going to look at some comic book art of an antediluvian age. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So that's right. Let's get to it, Pika. Let's behold our show notes that Pikachu has been, proudly scribbles all day long to earn his keep and feed. Joking. Thank you so much. And let's open up to today's date. I hope you're doing awesome. I hope you're feeling well, and I hope you're clobbering all of your problems and not being clobbered by them over and out. Thank you. It is story by Gardner Fox, art by Jack Burnley, from Adventure Comics number 62, May of 1941. Gigantic figures were a comic book commonplace, perhaps a holdover from folk tales of ogres and their ilk. The interest in such oversized individuals is probably based on the infant experience of being surrounded by adults of superior stature, so that back in the back of our minds, we will always believe that giants can exist. And while they certainly did exist in comic books, it should be noted that there was an element of exaggeration in splash panels, like the one we're about to look at. Villains were often depicted as larger as they actually were, as a way of symbolizing the size of the threat that they represent. I hope you all saw the M. Night Shyamalan movie Unbreakable, and how it's a really good comic book movie with an excellent documentary about comic books and about comic book storytelling and about these archetype heroes and villains and iconic trappings of both. And that's great. Villains were often depicted as larger than they actually were, as a way of symbolizing the threat that they represented. And I can see that in like social media today too, and the explosive words and terminologies that we use. Things could be better, but I mean, things just are very exaggerated. Hyperbole rules the day. And a sense of literacy as well, I have to admit. The order of cultural literacy it takes to spell and to use social media is great in a way. I mean, it means that people are thinking, and it means people have learned to write, and there's a common language, and there are a lot of positives to all the negatives. Let's see who we've got. It's Starman. let's look at this art. It's 5 minutes in the show. We need to look at some comic book art of an antediluvian age. What does antediluvian mean? It means before the Noah flood. It's biblical, and God gave the rainbow as a promise that that God would never do that again to us. Well, at least kill us with water like that in the flood. But that's the Old Testament. That's also that's also the Jewish Bible too, and that's Torah stuff. Well, the Torah is the first 4. Yeah, so that's Genesis. Yeah, so definitely. Blah blah blah. This is Starman by Jack Burnley. When a sinister mastermind with warped intellect takes terrible vengeance on those he hates, he finds his evil power challenged by Starman, a fantastic figure of the night who utilizes the mysterious forces of the stars to combat crime and injustice. And see, there's that the over-exaggerated giant scientist, and then you have Starman, coming in. But also he's in scale with the scientific instruments too. Look, he's got a Bunsen burner and a beaker, and what's that like? Is that is water bong? I think so. Maybe this is like a marijuana bust. It's legalized and taxed where I'm from. So yeah, we have dispensaries and stuff. That's great. I remember when a dime bag cost a dime. This is true. Let's talk a bit about Starman. We've talked about Starman, Jack, Ted Knight a few times. I want to talk about a Starman that I kind of knew. I was not actively reading it, but I caught up on it pretty quickly. Because in hindsight, I always my lapse in comic books. So I took a sabbatical. I call it my first sabbatical year as a comic book fan. Happened, I think, about 1996 to 2000. So that's only 4 years. And that's not a long time either. I missed a whole bunch of stuff, but not a lot. But it was it was kind of early to mid 90s, because that's when I graduated. I graduated high school. I went to college for a year. I started working in restaurants, and I started, getting those college age friends and having a unit of friends that we would all hang out with. And so it was a new experience. It was like a sitcom of life. It was wonderful. And comic books had a place in that too. Everyone knew I liked Green Lantern and X-Men. But I mean, by the time Onslaught happens, this is, I guess, how some comic book fans gauge time is by story arc, especially according to their individual title and this huge spans of a comic book. For me, X-Men is a huge part of my life, and I was Uncanny X-Men, and I was there, as a kid, between 150 and 200, and I think I popped off around the Siege Perilous there, and I got back on with Jim Lee's #1, and definitely Fatal Attractions, which was amazing. I mean, those holographic foil covers, that 3D part. I'm daffy for stuff like that. It was so well drawn. There was a great reveal of Wolverine about his claws, and but I got off the boat about Onslaught. Yeah. So when was Onslaught? That was in 95, 96. I was there for Age of Apocalypse. That was good. Yes. Age of Apocalypse was the original one, the first one. And that Wolverine claw reveal too, was that see? And but I took a break from comics basically the mid to late 90s, and I consciously made a choice to get back into comic books. I remember going to Million Year Picnic in Harvard Square, Cambridge, Massachusetts, New England's oldest local comic book shop, still open, and I love still going there occasionally too, and spending my money to help keep my local comic shops open. I've got a few. But I remember going there and talking to the guy at the counter. I think he might have been the guy with the Cobra tattoo on his forearm, Cobra. And I asked him, because there were a few X-Men titles. There was Uncanny, and there was New X-Men, which was I believe that was formerly Jim Lee's X-Men Volume 2, number 1, at issue number 114 in 2001. And it was Grant Morrison. I didn't know who Grant Morrison was. And so I come back with the first trade paperback of Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's EX for Extinction, and that included, I believe that included, it was the first printing, so it included the Morphin Manifesto, back when Fuck the Fanboy was cool. Now that, but it was done so well, in my humble opinion. I loved Grant Morrison's 4-year run from issue number 114 to issue 154. I was on pretty much monthly. That was great. And so I come back into comic books with great art. Frank Quitely, Ethan Van Sciver, big fan. He cracks me up. That's just my sense of humor. Even Igor Kordley too. I liked Igor Kordley's art. It was very European, and it has a lot to do with Grant Morrison being European as well. They play together. It was very Jean-Gerard Mobius to me, intellectually and tactile wise. It was visually nothing. I mean, Imperial and the Phantom X's first appearance there with Weapon 13. That was just, it was kind of hard to like at first, but Igor Kordley's art grew on me, and that harsh inking style. But yeah, so I got back on after, in 2001. I came back to comics. And I've been and that was ongoing until Heroes in Crisis in 2018. And I've just come back from that now. That 4-year break. So that I call that second sabbatical. I've just come back from second sabbatical. Yeah, I'm a lifelong comic book fan. And I started talking about Starman because this was something that premiered in Zero Hour, in DC Zero Hour. That was September of 1994. And the new Starman was part of that, publishing initiative. Right around then, too, you had something like Bloodlines. So we got, the only two people out of Bloodlines, we had 8, 10, 12 new characters, IPs, new creations. We got Argus and we got Tommy Monahan Hitman. And they came and went, too, as well. Argus, might still be, in the background, with just the espionage wing of DC, continuity. Don't know. But in 1994, we got Jack Knight, the modern day Starman. And the immediate precursor to Courtney Whitmore, the Star Girl, that now has the gravity rod. But Jack Knight's interesting story. It was in the 90s. So you had this look of the leather jacket over the uniform. You had that with Rogue, Superboy, Connell Superboy, Gambit. Had his floor length duster and the collar. It was cooler than Gambit. I mean, and Jack Knight Starman was one of those superheroes that had that 90s look of the leather jacket over the uniform. And I'm going to read this from, you guessed it, the wiki. Jack Knight Starman is a fictional DC superhero and a member of the JSA, Justice Society of America. He is the son of the original Starman, Ted Knight. He was created by James Robinson and Tony Harris and first appeared in Zero Hour number 1, September of 1994. He's the reluctant hero. He got pulled into the family business. It's a poignant tale that gets repeated. I heard that there's a Netflix show called The Bear, and it's about a Chicago eatery where one Michelin star chef brother has to inherit the failing business of his recently deceased brother, who ran a Chicago Greasy Spoon. So I'm a chef. People are always telling me to watch that show. I get home and I don't want to look at another kitchen. I'll check it out someday, I swear. The same friend who bought me this book, he seriously swears by that bear show. I mean, I'm going to watch it sooner or later, Peter. I swear. But what happened was that David Knight, he adopted Ted's outfit and the gravity rod, and he decided to become Starman, the next Starman. And he's murdered by one of his father's, the son of the Mist, one of his father's oldest arch foes. Okay, so... And then the Mist goes after Jack, the reluctant son, who is like rejected all the superhero stuff, wants to be a rebel, is doing his own thing, like punk rocky or rock and rolly, whatever. And he protects himself with his father's staff and reluctantly adopts the role of Starman to kind of honor his brother, but also he's it now. He is the Starman. And he puts on his leather jacket. He gets this tin sheriff's badge, like a child's toy. We used to get toys in breakfast cereals and in Cracker Jack snacks, or Happy Meals. And so he put this toy tin star on his jacket. He's the Starman. He's the sheriff, and he has his gravity rod and these World War II style anti-flash glasses to prevent from the glare. They help with the glare and the glow of the cosmic rod, and probably flight too, because you're flying and you got a lot of wind in your face. You must get a lot of bugs in your teeth when you're a superhero flying, or do you have like a protective screen? Like the Legion of Superheroes. He's got trinkets. The Legion of Superheroes has an amazing piece of technology. It's called the flight ring. Okay, Booster Gold has this, and he's got a time lost flight ring. That what makes him flies. Booster Gold fly. But the Legion of Superheroes of the 31st century, long live the Legion, have the device called the flight ring, where it gives you a molecule-thick life support suit that you can breathe and talk. Also, it gives you the ability for flight. And this is not created by Brainiac 5. It was created by Mon-El, the Damaxian. And, this was Mon-El's thing. Ain't that cool? I love superhero comic books. I love comic books, and I'm glad that you've tuned in today with us. We've been talking about Starman and a little bit about my own personal history of being a comic book fan. And it's okay to take breaks. It really is. Don't let your hobby stress you out. You're supposed to be your source of escapism. It's supposed to be your relief. I mean, there's a lot of mishandling of our beloved franchises and IPs. We know that. Yet there's a way we can still love it. We need to still show it love. We can't. It's not. We just. We can't just be contributing negativity and negative feelings. We need to remember why we love these things, and that's why we're so sensitive about their mishandling. Yeah, they're supposed to be idealized escapisms, not photorealistic intersections of activism and reality. We're supposed to be able to take a break from this world for a few minutes in a day with these wonderful and fantastic voyages and adventures, and not be constantly reminded of what we're obligated to be having to be concerned about, or to show proper models of behavior. That's not escapism. That's not. And this show revels in escapism and wants to remind you of its importance. I'm going to put something called the escapism caveat. It's a video I made a while ago. Viewers of this channel know I used to do something called the escapism caveat at the beginning of each show. I wanted more time to talk about comic books instead of I started feeling I was getting repetitive. I made its own video, and it's about this very subject: escapism versus activism. Can they coexist? I think they can. because activism has its space and its place. Is it our comic books? Our escapism? I don't think so. And we talk about it more. So give me your comments there. And like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We've been talking about comic books, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. That's right. Tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. It's guaranteed you will learn how to tell time if you turn on those notifications. Seriously. Oh, it must be 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. It's time to talk comic books with Sully and the gang. Indeed. Thank you so God damn much. I said it. I was going to say God bless you because I usually do, but God damn it, thank you. I know, sorry. Sorry, Krishna. Sorry, baby Jesus. Cheers and God bless you. Seriously, namaste. Good luck. We will see you tomorrow in those funny pages. Cheers. Bye-bye.